Please join me in welcoming His Excellency, Ambassador Gilad Erdan, to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bruce, for that warm introduction. Dr. Dave Weldon, Chairman of the IAF Board, my dear friend Josh Reinstein, President of the IAF, Consul General of Israel to the Southwest, Livia Link, my dear friend Herzl Makov, President of the Begin Center, leaders, allies, supporters of the IAF, of course, supporters of Israel, good evening. I want to begin by thanking you all for the amazing work that you do. The Israel Allies Foundation is one of the most important pro-Israel organizations in the United States and around the world. Thank you. You know, some years ago, as a young politician, Josh came and asked that I join the Knesset Christian Allies Caucus, and I quickly agreed. Josh, I cannot thank you enough for that opportunity that you gave me. Thank you. Because once I joined the caucus, first of all, I had the privilege of serving as deputy chairman. But I vividly remember advocating for Israel's relationship with its Christian allies to become a national priority, I would point to the incredible love for Israel that I encountered on my visits to Christian communities and churches in the United States, and I would explain the importance of faith-based diplomacy. Today, thank God, the critical importance of Christian support for Israel is widely understood. Thanks to the Israel Allies Foundation, its parliamentary caucuses, and our Christian friends and partners around the world, the bond between our faiths has never been stronger. As I hoped, and Josh mentioned this fact, faith-based diplomacy played a key role in the Trump administration's decision to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, a move supported by elected officials from both sides of the aisle. The power of faith and Israel's Christian allies also played a key role in the decisions by Guatemala and Honduras to follow suit and open their embassies in Jerusalem, and we thank them for that. Where is Luis? Someone told me that the ambassador of Guatemala is here. He left. Okay. But, oh, thank you, my friend. Thank you. Dear friends, the state of Israel today faces tremendous challenges and tremendous opportunities. These challenges and opportunities mean that your continued support for Israel and the Jewish people is more important than ever. First and foremost, we face the shared challenge of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The radical Ayatollah regime continues its drive for nuclear weapons while spreading terror, destruction, and instability around the world. As the centrifuges spin at home, Iran's president, a man responsible for the murder of thousands of his own people, by the way, broadcasts message of hate abroad. The place for Iran's president is not in parliament or on the UN stage. It is behind bars. Israel will never allow Iran to become a threshold nuclear state, let alone develop a nuclear weapon. So while we are confronted with the challenge of Iran's treacherous ambitions and its rejection of any diplomatic solutions, we also face relentless threats from Iranian terrorist proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas on Israel's borders. These terror groups have hundreds of thousands of missiles aimed at Israel's cities and civilians, while using the Palestinians and Lebanese people as human shields. Despite these challenges to our security and safety, we know that the State of Israel can always count on your support. Yet, the great challenges of our time go beyond the traditional security sphere. Anti-Semitism has once again reared its ugly head. The world continues to cry, "Never again," and yet Jewish communities around the globe still face a surge of hate and violence. As we sit here in this room, the BDS movement, which seeks to demonize Israel, is actively fanning the flames of anti-Semitism with the help of its supporters in Congress and European parliaments. As the recent vote over the Iron Dome showed, the number of such supporters is few, but they are making their voices heard. In the face of the lies that some spread about Israel on Capitol Hill, I know that we can count on you to be our Iron Dome of truth. While we still confront great challenges, we also live a time of incredible opportunity. The US Embassy now stands proudly in Jerusalem. Today, there is no longer any question that Jerusalem is our eternal, undivided capital. The historic Abraham Accords, facilitated by President Trump, he deserved, have ushered in a new era of peace, progress, and prosperity among the moderate nations of the Middle East. The current administration is continuing to work with us to expand the circle of cooperation. The desire to promote peace and prosperity is above any political divide, and all parties should always promote regional progress. Together, we have the opportunity to transform the Middle East from a region of conflict to a region of religious harmony and a hub of innovative solutions from humanity's greatest challenges. Just as you are our partners in overcoming challenges, you are our partners in seizing the opportunities. The critical work that you do to bolster support for Israel, not only in the US, but also in Latin America, Eastern Europe, Africa, and around the world, creates a lasting impact of immense proportions. And for that, the State of Israel could not be more grateful. Your efforts to speak the truth and spread light amid lies and darkness couldn't be more important. As you well know, a lie travels halfway around the globe while the truth is still putting on its shoes. In fact, in the age of social media, a lie travels around the globe twice before the truth can even get out of bed. By the way, unless Facebook collapses again like it did earlier this week, of course. Some pray that it would happen again. Yet, despite the powers of lies, I am a staunch believer that the truth is ultimately more powerful than any falsehood, just as a small amount of light can dispel much darkness. However, for the truth to win out, courageous people must be willing to speak it. The power of truth prevailing over hypocrisy was on full display in the UN halls during the spectacular failure of the recent Durban Conference commemoration. The empty chairs in the UN General Assembly during the anniversary of the so-called UN Conference Against Racism serve as a living proof of how truth can triumph over deceit. The 2001 Durban Conference was the ultimate example of modern Jew hatred, of racism masked as anti-racism and human rights. When I first gathered pro-Israel leaders together to plan our campaign against the commemoration of Durban at the UN, I hoped that we could convince more countries to avoid the event than the 14 that boycotted Durban the last time it was convened. In fact, I hope that we could double this number. In the end, 38 countries boycotted this shameful event, and I thank them. Much of the great success in combating the hateful Durban Conference was thanks to the dedication of Israel's allies around the world. The darkness of hate and lies is no match for the light of faith and truth. And if such great success can be made at the UN, then it can be done anywhere. Now, we must redouble our efforts. We must build bridges and alliances between the diverse communities of both Israel and America in order to share the truth. And we must place an emphasis on educating the next generation about the historical, legal, and national rights, and biblical, of course, of the Jewish people in their ancestral homeland. After all, Judea and Samaria are the heartland of Israel, just as Texas is the heartland of America. I would like to conclude with a few words regarding today's guests and honoree. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here today with Vice President Mike Pence. His heartfelt support and love is a model for all Christian friends of the Jewish people. As a member of Congress, co-chair of the Congressional Israel Allies Caucus, governor, and vice president, his work to deepen the U.S.-Israel alliance has had a powerful impact which will be felt far into the future. The unforgettable moment when he stood in the Knesset, and I was there and I was almost shivering, and recited the Shehecheyanu blessing will remain etched in the hearts of our people forever. My dear friend, Herzl Makov, Herzi, Mazel Tov on receiving this well-deserved award for your lifetime of service to the State of Israel in every arena. From the IDF to government and from our national institutions to leading the Menachem Begin Heritage Center. When Menachem Begin's party was first elected to the government, he spoke about the Jewish people's unchallengeable, eternal, historic right to a nation on this land. In the spirit of Begin, you have spent your life fighting for the rights of the Jewish people. Thank you for all that you have done and all that you are doing to ensure that the values and legacy of Menachem Begin live on in the state of Israel today. Thank you. Dear friends, thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Your friendship is unmatched, and we are deeply grateful for your efforts to spread the truth, ensure Israel's security, and strengthen the bonds between our two great democracies. You know perhaps better than anyone that Israel is living proof of biblical promises come to life. From your pro-Israel network of legislators to your grassroots work and trips to Israel, the Israel Allies Foundation is ensuring a better future for Israel, America, and the rest of the world. We are forever linked by our shared Judeo-Christian values and our firm belief in a single God that guides and directs us all. We also understand that the foundations of our world lie in Jerusalem and that the holy city should forever be protected. May we continue to work side by side in the uphill battle for Israel, for Jerusalem, and the truth. May Israel and the Jewish people live in peace and prosperity in our ancestral homeland. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.